hello.
Was that 4 hellos?
It was indeed, because this is the Podcastic Two.
Oh, my God. Griffin's making this disgusting smile on his face right now.
Griffin and David present the Podcastic Two, the
Hello,
first and
everyone.
last episode of the Podcastic Two.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
You know, there could be another Fantastic Four movie
Yeah,
down the
sure.
line one day
Sure.
that we want to talk about.
We are, of course, the Podcastic Two. I'm Griffin Newman.
David Sims.
With us, as always, is producer
course.
Ben Hosley, also known as Producer Ben, also known as Producer Ben, also known as the Ben Deucer, also known as the Haas, also known as Mr. Positive, also known as...
Hello, Fennel.
Hello, Fennel.
Hello, Fennel.
There we go.
Hey,
a hearty
guys.
hello, Fennel, to us all. A spirited hello, Fennel.
Hello, Fennel. So, guys, I listened to some of the commentary. You are really just giving it to the fans, you know?
We're giving it to the fans.
They were just asking for it, and you gave it to them.
Let's say this, though. I mean,
Did we talk about the movie at all in the commentary? We mostly spend like an hour and a half dissecting Ewan McGregor's career.
Yeah, but I think it's a good use of that commentary.
Sure.
We talk about the movie a little. I mean,
I occasionally will be like, oh, this is the scene where... it doesn't matter.
it's well-worn territory at this point. I mean, anytime I pointed out how bad it looked, you went, Griffin, we've talked about
We
this.
had talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would catch a little moment where they would just be like, "We are never watching this movie
Ever again.
Very happy.
I like the part where you just
Very happy.
mention the existence of Mordecai, and I laughed for 3 minutes straight. I cannot stop laughing.
Mordecai!
That wasn't a bit. You can attest to that.
No,
I
not at all.
truly could not stop laughing.
We were a little worn down, and I think I may have summoned a picture of Mordecai on my phone.
Well, first you just said we were reading through the credits. Then you just said Mordecai. I laughed for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you showed me the picture, and then I laughed for another minute.
Well, IMDb has this sort of screen grab. It's very embarrassing.
He's on the hood of a car. That guy.
That Mordecai. And we talked about it on the commentary. We it's too easy to make fun of
can't do
Mordecai, but it's really fun.
We're gonna watch it.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to have a blast. We're never going to release it to you folks. We're not going to record it. It's for us and not for you.
Yeah. Although, speaking of that, Richard Lawson really wants to watch Aloha. I think we should do an episode about Aloha.
Oh, I'd
with
happily
Richard
do
Lawson.
Aloha. You haven't seen Aloha yet?
No, I
right?
have, but I want to watch it again because it is in my brain like encephalitis.
Yeah, I would love to do Aloha.
He hasn't seen it,
Okay.
but I have.
We should do that.
Yeah, I saw it with Pilot Viruit at the Williamsburg Theater. She complained. We were the only people in the theater.
I saw it with Matthew Starr at the AMC 42nd Street 25. And we smuggled beers into the theater and drank
Bad idea.
while we were watching. Well, I think it was a good idea, and it connects to one of the movies we're discussing today.
You should have had appropriate drinks with little Hawaiian umbrellas in them.
Yeah, we had tall boys and we put Hawaiian umbrellas in them. We put a lei around each can.
Yeah.
I also, and this is not a thing I do often, I smuggled beers into the theater to watch Josh Trank's 2015 adaptation of the Fantastic Four because...
Oh, I see. Maybe this is why you like it.
I don't say that. Complicated thoughts. We have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, so I've been asking on this podcast for weeks whether Griffin has seen the Fantastic Four movie yet by Josh Trank.
Not always
Came
on
out
mic.
this year.
Sometimes before we record.
Sometimes, just because I knew he cared a lot about Fantastic Four like I do.
They're my favorite characters in all of comic book history.
And the movie was so bad, and I really just wanted to hear what he thought about it. And he hadn't seen it. And then finally he saw it, and he demanded we sit down and record this podcast for you about the Fantastic Four movies. All the Fantastic Four movies.
We need to discuss.
All 4 of them.
Now, this podcast...
All Fantastic 4 of them.
All Fantastic Four of them. This podcast, we've
Giving Ben
established
some pats for that bad pun.
this larger franchise we are running, Griffin and David present.
Right, yeah. The Griffin and David present franchise.
The through line, the thematic through line is blank check projects, when someone is given complete creative control. And this is...
Or whatever. It doesn't have to be they have complete creative control, because, I mean, obviously Josh Trank...
Well, this is my point. I think the interesting angle for the Fantastic Four movies is that the main authorial voice in all 4 of these movies is the studio that has the rights at that time.
Sure, that's true.
All 4 movies were made for craven reasons to retain rights for the characters.
Even the 4th one? I guess so.
Yeah.
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 I mean, the 4th one...
The Trank one we're talking
yeah,
about?
the Trank one.
Oh, they were going to lose the rights
No, I
to
know,
Marvel.
but also
Yeah.
in a vacuum, like, it seems like a good idea. It's kind of like nobody really liked the other one. It's time for someone to do a good Fantastic Four,
I
right?
agree.
You know, like,
I agree.
There's nothing really wrong with, like, if Marvel had gotten the rights and
Yeah.
we're like, we're doing them, then everyone would have been happy.
But
Probably.
David, I think we need to start at the beginning.
Okay.
The year... I think it's 91, 92.
You want me to look it up for the Corman movie?
Yeah. In the 1960s, Roger Corman, noted B-movie maestro, producer, director extraordinaire, a thrifty sort, makes films on the cheap, would get a location like a castle.
94.
94, wow, so they nailed it with the release year. I think all Fantastic Four movies should come out in years that end in 4. That's my belief, and only one of them has, although it didn't come out. But
That's true.
he's a thriftmeister, right?
Yeah, sure. He makes cheap, like, shock movies and horror movies and action movies. Sometimes they got some broads in them, and
The good ones.
Yeah, exactly. And he worked on, he helped the careers of Martin Scorsese, other
Jonathan
guys.
Demme,
Yeah,
Ron Howard,
got
launched
them their starts in
lot of
like
big
how to make a
directors.
movie fast and cheap.
And Coppola, notoriously Coppola,
yeah.
I think was a screenwriter on one of his movies. They were filming in a castle, and he went, "We have the castle for another week. If you can write a script in the next 24 hours that films entirely in this castle, we have like $3,000 left over on this movie. You can make a movie in a week in a castle."
Right.
And that was like Coppola's first movie, I think. Dementia 13,
I don't know.
I believe.
Get back to the point.
In the
Roger
1960s,
Corman.
he buys the rights.
No, I don't think so. No, I'm correcting you here. I said I thought that's what you were about to say.
Correct me.
Go on. Corman doesn't come on till later. You think Corman bought the rights in the 60s?
I think he buys the rights in the 60s or 70s.
No, I don't think so.
What do you think?
Well, according to Wikipedia, Bernd Eichinger, who's
More
the
like
guy,
Wikipedia.
who's the guy who produced all these movies, Bernd Eichinger.
Yeah.
He met with Stan Lee,
Okay.
asking for the movie
Okay.
rights to Fantastic Four.
Okay.
He got them 3 years later
Okay.
for $250,000.
What year is this?
That would be in 1986.
Okay.
Which is not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money.
250 grand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think Marvel is probably at a bit of a financial low maybe in the mid-80s. I mean, the comics are doing okay, but it's, you know.
But also, you have to
There's
understand.
no superhero
at this
movies
point
yet.
in time, making a movie about a superhero?
There's Superman. That's about it.
Go fuck yourself, they
made
would say to
Superman.
that idea.
They would, yeah.
They made Superman, but at that point, by 86, Superman's on its last legs. We're at like Quest for Peace era, where Superman's like a big stinking pile of poo-poo. And Batman hasn't come onto the scene yet, right? Batman changes the game.
That's in 89?
89. That's 3 years later.
Yep.
And at this point in time, they're developing Batman at Warner Brothers, but they're going, oh, it should be a comedy, right? Batman, like Adam West, that thing's silly.
Sure.
They want to do Batman with like Bill Murray. That's the plan, right?
Okay.
And so the idea of doing like a comic book movie, A, prohibitively expensive. You can't realize the effects. B, they're for kids. Who wants to watch kids' movies?
Technology's not totally there yet. Fantastic Four, you got a stretchy guy. That's hard to
It's
do.
tough.
Yeah.
So he buys the rights. It's a lot for this guy, but not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
No, and anyway, he has the rights for a while. Budget concerns preclude any production. And with the rights they're going to expire at the end of 92, he goes to Corman and makes a low-budget Fantastic Four, saying they didn't say I had to make a big movie. It was made for $1 million.
I'm eating a bagel. So the thing
gross.
here is, he was at the end of his window for the rights.
Yeah, he had to make it.
He had to make
They
something.
made it in about 20 days.
He goes to
crazy.
Corman. Corman knows how to make movies
Sure,
for
yeah,
little,
yeah. $1 million.
tight schedule. They use all like Canadian actors, like soap opera actors.
Yeah.
No known stars.
No.
And they make a movie. All these actors, I've read a lot of interviews with
It's
them.
so sad.
They all thought they were like, I'm
In a Fantastic Four movie.
right, because at the point this movie's being made, Batman has come out.
And they must have thought, like, look, it's a cheap movie, but hey, like, maybe it'll hit,
It's gonna hit.
Yeah.
And they had a trailer that they attached to certain home video releases of like kids' films. They were like starting to do promotional stuff.
Right.
But alas, he never intended to make this film.
Ole Sassoon is the director.
Son of Vidal Sassoon,
Right.
noted hairstylist.
Yeah, son of Siegfried Sassoon, noted World War I poet.
Is that true?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Carry on.
The plan was, if I make a film before this window expires, I retain the rights for another 10 years.
Something like that. Yeah. He keeps the rights.
And then I can sell the rights to someone else. In order for anyone else to make a movie, which now there's a possibility. Now it's the early 90s. There have been 2 Batman films. There's a wave of other noirish sort of pulp hero films that come after it. Less the big DC Marvel characters, but you have the Shadow, you have the Phantom, you have Dick Tracy, you have the Rocketeer.
Yep. None of those big hits, but all...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the first 2 Batman movies work, and the second one's a bigger disappointment. Although a misunderstood masterpiece, Batman Returns.
We can talk about that someday.
Talk about that later. 15 years from now. Now people see some potential money in the Fantastic Four. And at this point, Marvel is selling off all their characters to actual interested parties. James Cameron comes very close to doing both an X-Men movie and a Spider-Man movie.
I know.
Before he ultimately does Titanic instead.
His Spider-Man movie. That would have been something.
Would have been rad.
Hopefully.
Had a lot of sex in it. Have you read the treatment?
Yeah, I have, and it's weird.
There's a lot of like Doc Ock fucking people.
And like, I don't know, he like the thing, you know, he's really hot on the thing where he can make the webs out of his body.
Organic web shooters.
Yeah, which is, you know, I don't know.
I'm pro organic web shooters.
I'm very anti.
Well, let's keep on fighting. But at this point, yeah, all the Marvel properties are being sold off to different studios, different directors. And so Fantastic Four has some value. And this Schlockmeister goes to Corman, goes, let's make it quick. We're never going to release it. It's an Ashcan copy. And I will retain the rights, and I will be able to get a lot of money from an interested party who will buy the film from me just to never release it, and then they will retain, quote-unquote, remake rights of the film.
Sure.
To then make their own version. So that's what he does. And Fox buys the film. It is never released. For years, it was available on like bootlegs. If you go to comic conventions,
you can watch it on YouTube now.
Well, now in the internet era,
all right.
But I had to go and buy a DVD.
You did? Wow.
Yeah, when I was 14 years old, I had to go buy a DVD. So Fantastic Four are my favorites.
Sure.
Okay, I want to sidebar here for a second.
Go on.
In going through all my childhood belongings, because my father was selling his place because he didn't manage his finances correctly. In addition to finding certain questionable history papers, the biggest discovery I made is how, like, every single notebook, because I kept fucking everything my entire life, every single notebook I had from, like, 7th grade to 12th grade is just littered with Fantastic Four doodles, notes, concepts.
Right.
I, as like a 13-year-old, was obsessed with the idea that I would someday make a Fantastic Four movie. And
make one.
Yes.
Not be in one.
No, make one.
Make one.
Make one. So I'm going to make a Fantastic Four movie.
Yes.
And I would just draw character designs and come up with scene breakdowns. I had scraps of drafts of scripts I wrote and fucking storyboards. Of course, extensive merchandise plans. That was, let's put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
And my college admissions essay I wrote was about how much I love the Fantastic Four.
You told me that. I remember that.
All of this, right?
Yeah.
These characters mean a tremendous, tremendous amount to me. I don't remember why I got onto this side.
I don't either.
Oh, so I go find the bootleg when I'm 14 because this means a lot to me.
It's bad.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah. Bad movie.
It was clearly made in 22 days.
Yeah, right.
It feels like.
Yeah.
There's a point where you can almost hear the characters going like, oh, we got to finish this up. Where you can see a guy at the corner of the frame pointing at his watch and just going like, we got to finish this up.
It has really bad special effects.
Yep.
And, it has to have a lot of them. It basically seems to be shot at like a laser tag arena. It's kind of like dark and there's like a lot of smoke, to sort of mask any seams that might be noticed, although the seams are very noticeable.
Sure. The suits look sub-cosplay.
Yeah, although, you got to applaud them. They actually wear the suits, the kind of classic Fantastic Four suit with a big 4 in the middle.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
They got the classic blue and white.
The Thing is...
It's like a subpar animatronic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style.
Like rubber foam suit
with a mechanical face that's not super expressive.
No.
His mouth can move up and down, and his brow can be more or less furrowed. But...
but it exists.
And it fucking looks like the Thing. It doesn't move super well. It looks like the Thing, design-wise.
I guess so.
It looks like the Thing.
The Thing is... Anyway, go on.
Human Torch, whenever he flames on, looks like an MS Paint drawing.
Yeah, he looks like clip art.
He looks like clip art.
I thought you were going to say they just lit a dude on fire.
They just let
that
it do.
would be better.
That would be better.
If it
would
was
look
that
real.
stuntman, that old stuntman thing of like the guy running
Yeah.
and he's on fire, like that would be better.
What was it? That fucking Primus video? What was that video
I
that
forget.
the Spike Jonze did? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Primus, and someone's gonna chew me out. For
Yeah,
saying that.
whatever.
Someone's
But
gonna
that's
eat my
what I'm
butthole.
referencing. That's what I'm referencing.
Right. Anytime the Human Torch flames on, it's entirely cartooned.
Yeah.
Like they just cartoon like clip art of a building skyline, and then just a little orange like Cheeto like flying by. It looks terrible. It's like Subtron, kind of like, but not stylized in a film where that's not the
There's
aesthetic.
no style.
But Doctor Doom, let it be said, kind of looks great.
Yeah, he looks okay.
Looks like Doctor Doom. Is the classic costume. Is
Again,
a guy in a
he
metal
looks more,
suit.
he looks more like Dr. Doom than the other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
The plot doesn't really make sense.
No, I mean it's the basic. They go to space, they get the powers, and they have to fight Doctor Doom. Like, there's not really.
Dr. Doom's ostensibly the villain of the movie, although like the whole second act is them fighting some guy named the Jeweler,
I forgot about the jeweler. It's been a long time since I saw this.
who is not from the comic books.
No.
He sort of feels like maybe he's inspired by Mole Man, but he's a guy who loves jewels, and he quotes Shakespeare a lot. He says like, "Oh, what divine creatures we mortals be." Like he says like weird, like butchered Shakespeare quotes all the time.
Yeah,
And they just fight the jeweler. It's like a real petty.
but they fight Doctor Doom at the end, right?
At the end, but I'm saying the whole
they
second
knock him
act.
off a cliff or something.
Yeah, no, the third act, the final villain
Right.
is Doctor Doom, but the jeweler is like a tertiary boss.
Yeah, sure.
And
Which is interesting. The other movies don't have that.
no. And the other thing I think is
Which is
interesting.
the classic superhero movie structure. Yeah, you fight, like, there's like a sort of sub-villain, and then
Yes.
you get to the big guy.
The other interesting thing we were talking about right before we started recording about some of the things that make the Fantastic Four different than other comic book characters, especially Marvel. Another sidebar, some important history here. Fantastic Four, the first superhero family
Yes.
of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Timely Comics is created in the 1940s. Captain America is created as a superhero to combat Nazism.
Yeah. We're going to do the whole Marvel Comics history.
No, in a very abbreviated
Yes,
form.
go on,
right?
go on.
But at that time, otherwise, it was a lot of mystery comics,
Yeah,
romance
the
comics.
Superhero comics don't really take off.
Right.
Or they had in the 30s. They kind of die off after the war.
But they have a couple characters in the 40s. Captain America is one of them.
Yeah.
There's a character named the Human Torch who is
An
not
android.
a human, he's an android.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
and
sense.
he catches on fire, right?
And Namor.
Right. Those are the characters they have. Those are the three, right?
Those are who survive pretty much. Toro.
Yeah.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 20 years later, a renamed Marvel Comics hires a scrappy young dude named like Stanley Hershkowitz.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm going to be a
Jews.
novelist. I don't want to put my real name on this. I'll call myself Stan Lee. And they go, we need superheroes. DC had been taken off.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And then they create the Justice League. They put all three characters in one title. The title sells through the roof. Right?
Yes.
So they go to him, we need a team. What, a team? What am I going to do with the team? Well, we got this Human Torch thing. He goes, that character's dumb. The robot's dumb, but I like the idea of a guy who catches on fire. And he creates this team. Fantastic Four, I think, are different than any other major team in superhero comics. I keep on fucking silencing this. My sister started high school today, and she mass texted my family a picture of her schedule, and now everyone's commenting on which teacher she did or didn't get. And it's a fucking text thread that will not stop.
All right. We're already on way too long a sidetrack here. I agree with you.
Justice League is a
Four.
supergroup.
Yes.
Avengers is a supergroup.
Yes.
X-Men has thousands of members.
X-Men and those don't exist yet. It's just Fantastic Four. And what is revolutionary, like you're trying to say,
It's a
is they
family.
are a
It's just
family.
four
They
people.
squabble. They have dynamics.
But their team is
They're
very
human.
solidly that team. The roster doesn't change. At points
Sure.
in time, Ghost Rider's on there, whatever, but it's fucking bullshit.
Storm.
And you know it's a placeholder.
Black Panther
Right.
was a
Fantastic Four at its
Crystal.
core
Let's
is
do
these
them all.
four people. When someone else is in there, you're like, well, the point is
yes.
making us miss the one who's now not here.
And it's four quadrants in a family. You know, the father,
Yeah.
the sort of stern, reproachful father, the like warm, nurturing, protective mother, and then the like two like scrappy brothers, like the
Yeah.
hothead and the lunk. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how you want it. There's
Yeah.
so many ways to do that. Ben Grimm can kind of be the uncle too once they have their kids.
And it's
once Frank comes
capitalizing
out.
on the space race
Yeah, all this stuff.
The
They just go to space
with the cosmic.
You read the first issue; it's literally just like the movies elaborate on it. It's just they just go to space.
They were trying to get to space.
And
at that point in time,
getting
people just
to
wanted
space
to get
makes
to space.
them crazy.
No one
gives
knew
them superpowers.
what was going to
happen if you put a person in
go
space.
to space. They come back. They each get a power that somewhat mimics one of the 4 elements.
Yeah,
and
kind of. Really?
Earth. Ben Grimm is
and
rock.
fire, Human
Fire.
Torch.
Storm might say is air.
Yeah.
And Mr. Fantastic moves like water. He
He's
stretches.
sort of fluid.
You know, stretchy water.
Stretchy water, man.
You ever drink a glass of stretchy water?
Stretchy water, man.
But they are 4 people who have to be a team.
Yeah.
They don't choose to be a team. They're not recruited. It's not, we're all the most powerful people. They love each other. They hate each other in equal measure.
Yeah. They bicker, like I said.
But they got to team up. Yeah. And the word fantastic, I think, is key. It's a very, very sincere, genuine word.
Okay.
There's
Definitely
something...
not just illusion. Yeah, alliteration.
Well, yeah, but I also think there's a spirit of adventure to the Fantastic Four and limitless possibilities.
Exploration.
Right, going through different
explorers.
dimensions,
Yes,
seeing
absolutely.
incredible things.
They see all these great Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
We could talk about the comics all day, but we're not here to talk about the comic books.
My point is that I think this Roger Corman movie, in its
you're going to argue for the...
forced, bastardized way, captures some of that spirit.
That's fair. It is. Because in comparison to the other movies.
It's so corny because it is underwritten, because the actors are functional at best.
Yep. They don't really want to be mean to them because, you know.
Right, but there is a sort of moon-eyed, childish optimism to the whole film that sort of captures some, by accident or by purpose, sense of the film. You do see the 4 characters standing there in the suits that look like their suits. They look like they cost $10, but they look like
they're
their
just
suits.
standing there. It looks okay.
And Dr. Doom is in this film.
And he has a green cloak and a suit of armor.
And he's like a dictator. He is, because all the other films are afraid to make him what he is. Dr. Doom was ostensibly the second smartest man in the world. He would be the smartest man in the world if Reed Richards hadn't lived. And his rivalry, his jealousy over that drives him insane.
Yeah, and other things drive him insane.
He's the bastard son of a leader of a country and a gypsy witch.
Yep.
And he takes the throne.
Yep.
And uses his country to sort of combat the Fantastic Four.
But he's also a sorcerer.
Take over the world. He's got sorcery.
Yeah, he's also a sorcerer.
He's got sorcery powers on his side.
And he's an Eastern European dictator. And he's a master scientist.
My favorite thing about Dr. Doom, what I think makes him an interesting character, is that sometimes you get the sense, he's a good leader to his people.
No, totally.
We in America
weird
hate
sort
him.
of. His people live in these like thatched, huts and castles and things like that. He lives in like the 16th century, but they all seem to like him. Victor Von Doom.
Yeah,
his name is Victor Von Doom. These
the
are
best
the
thing.
things.
He's Dr.
The reason
Victor
we're
Von
talking
Doom.
about this, I think, is like this is what the movies have always stumbled on. This right out of the gate.
Yeah.
They have trouble with this.
It's a silly property.
It's
There are a lot
silly.
of silly things, and a lot of these films, they get scared. They get sheepish, and they go, oh, what if we call him Victor Von Dam? What if he isn't really in charge of a country, but he goes to the country on vacation sometimes? Like, they write around these things.
Yeah.
And I think the way to make a Fantastic Four movie is to go head on into them, head first.
Sure.
Much in the way that Tim Burton's Batman owns it by being gothic, highly stylized, in a dark and gritty kind of different way, but so heightened and cartoony.
Yeah. Batman's different.
Yeah. But I'm saying Fantastic
you can do
Four
Batman a lot of
needs to
ways.
own the world.
I think you can do Batman a lot of ways. I don't think you can do Fantastic Four a lot of ways. I agree with you. They're like,
But
it's really
I
only.
think the common thread with the movies that don't work is that they're afraid of the property.
It's one of the many problems that those movies have.
problems.
I mean, to me, the best example is Thor: The Dark World. The movie that nobody likes except for me. And
We
you.
love it.
But like that movie, it's like in the beginning there were dark elves, and then like it will
That's
literally
the opening line.
It's the opening line.
In the beginning,
And
there were dark elves.
It'll cut to like some forest, and like Svarveltheim will like come on screen as if anyone is supposed to know what that is in reference to, and it doesn't matter. Like it's just like, come on, you like it,
Just own it.
yeah, just own it. All right, so
And
forget
also,
the Corman
the
movie,
final battle in Thor: The Dark World, where they're fighting through different dimensions,
Oh, I love that.
feels like how a Fantastic Four movie should end, with like
Totally.
silly, cosmic, insane, heightened. Like I don't even understand what's happening.
Totally true. Anyway, let's talk about the Trank movie. You want to do
We're
this
going
in order?
chronological.
I feel like the Trank movie is what everyone cares. All right, let's do it. Okay.
We're going to talk more about the Trank movies than
Okay.
the other movies,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
think we have to go in order.
Well, I did just watch the Tim Story movie. So, yeah, 20th Century Fox acquires the rights to Fantastic Four from this guy who is also a producer of that movie.
Right. For about 10 years, different drafts come through, different writers, some great ones, some terrible ones.
And Marvel movies start to hit. You got
Marvel-
X-Men in
yeah.
2000. You got Spider-Man in 2001. You know, these movies start to work.
The pressure's on.
X-Men 2 comes
Chris
out in
Columbus was
2004.
going to do it for a while, goes off and does Harry Potter.
Sure.
Fox has Peyton Reed,
Yeah.
who had directed Bring It On, which was a surprise hit, goes to Fox for his next movie, makes Down with Love, which we talked about on our commentary.
Love that movie.
They love that movie. They think it's going to be a big hit.
Is that
and
2003 that movie
Yeah.
comes out? Yeah.
He goes, what if I did a Fantastic Four movie? He's a huge comic book fan that was set in the 60s, that owned the optimism of the characters, the fantastical elements of them, and was focused on the characters and their dynamics set in this fantastic backdrop.
Right.
You don't worry about making it relatable in a realistic way. You worry about making the characters relatable because they are recognizable and human, and then setting them in a fantastic backdrop.
Yeah.
And the other thing he wanted to really focus on, which makes Fantastic Four unique, that is no longer unique because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has now picked up this thread, is in the Marvel comic books, all the superheroes have secret identities. And the Fantastic Four do not.
Right.
They are
That is true.
celebrities.
Right. From minute one,
And everyone loves them.
pretty much.
They go and they explore.
And they live
they
in this
save
building
people.
in like the middle of Manhattan that has like a big 4 on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know.
And when a big monster comes out of the sidewalk on Fifth Avenue, people are scared, but they also go, oh man, this means the Fantastic Four are going to show up. And people are cheering.
Right.
He wanted to own all of that.
Yeah.
He said he kind of wanted to do Hard Day's Night as a superhero movie.
Yeah, and set it in the
Set it in the 60s.
period movie.
Much like Down with Love. Set it with that sort of that
great.
look, that aesthetic. I think some of his casting choices, I think he wanted Clooney to play Mr. Fantastic.
Would Clooney have done it?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's an obvious
I
choice.
think Charlize Theron, he wanted to play Invisible Woman.
Okay.
I think John C. Reilly, he wanted to play The Thing.
No, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Who did
and
he want for the Human Torch?
I think Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Who would have been right in the spot at that point? Right in the spot. He would have been right in the spot.
No way.
David, he was
I
in
hate
the
that.
spot.
I hate that. I hate that casting. He's not charismatic enough.
Watch Pleasantville.
I like him in Pleasant. Watch
Furious
Pleasant.
7.
I've seen Pleasantville a million times.
We're not going to talk about Paul Walker. It's too emotional for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Down with Love bombs really hard.
Yeah, real hard.
Fox kicks him off the project. They want to get this movie out
Well, I
because
think
there's
also-
a superhero craze.
And also, I think the rights issue is pressing against them again. They needed to make it.
And there's an additional thing.
Yeah.
At this point, Marvel has rights to none of their characters cinematically. They are not making their own movies yet. And so Marvel's bottom line comes from increased comic book sales and merchandise sales connected to the movies that are out each year. And they want like 2 movies each year. So after Spider-Man 2002, it's like 2003, Daredevil and Hulk. 2004, I think, was Spider-Man 2 and...
X-Men too.
No, X-Men 2 was... Oh, it was 2003. Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
They want a couple films a year so they can
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
the
yeah.
properties alive, right?
Right.
2005, I think, was supposed to be X-Men 3, and it gets pushed back because
It
Bryan
does.
Singer leaves.
Okay.
They don't have a film that year.
I get you.
They want something.
Yeah.
Avi Arad, at that point, head
Yes.
of Marvel, goes, you got to make Fantastic Four.
So they make Fantastic Four.
They pick Tim Story, who had made Barbershop, which I love,
Good movie.
and then made a film called Taxi.
Had he made Taxi? Yeah, I was about to ask. That's before?
Queen Latifah, Jimmy Fallon,
Yeah.
buddy cop comedy, remake of a
Remake
French
of a French
film.
movie, yeah.
It's like France's Rush Hour. There are 4 Taxi films.
Yep.
They launched the career of Academy Award winner Marion Cotillard.
Okay.
Beloved franchise.
Oh, you mean the French movies? We're not talking about the French Taxi movies.
I'm just
Come
giving
on, man. Let's keep it.
context.
Come on. We got to keep it going.
They make Taxi. Taxi test screens through the roof. They go, this movie's going to be a huge fucking
That's
hit.
crazy.
Yeah. It got like 100% approval ratings. Tom Lennon on some podcast talked about this because Tom Lennon, Robert Ben Garant wrote Taxi.
They were, yeah, right.
They did test screening and
Can
they
we
went
talk about how they are the worst screenwriters?
the worst screenwriters.
I mean, I think Tom Lennon's a really funny comedian.
Me too.
But it's so annoying that he's like, listen to me. But he is successful.
Wildly successful.
But they're terrible. They write these terrible movies.
And they were always sort of saying publicly, like, well, these are the movies we do for money. These are the family films. But
yeah,
we have our passion projects. Wait till you see our passion projects. Their passion projects, the ones they did for them, turned out to be Let's Go to Jail, Let's Go to Prison. What was it called? The Bob Odenkirk movie?
Yeah, Let's Go to
Prison.
Prison.
Which is terrible.
I've never seen it. Yeah, it sounded weird.
Balls of Fury. Ping pong comedy with Dan Folger. And
that movie sucked.
Terrible. All their passion projects were terrible.
No, the Reno 911 movie is good.
It's solid.
Yeah, that's a solid.
Because Reno 911 is a good fucking world.
And that's his best thing.
Yeah.
I never saw Hell Baby. Did you see that?
I heard it sucked.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Now I'm just looking at his...
By the way, we're having them both on as guests next week on our show.
Yeah. It's crazy. They wrote The Pacifier.
Oh, right.
They wrote Herbie Fully Loaded. They wrote Taxi.
Herbie's okay. Taxi's
but
terrible.
then they also-
Pacifier's abysmal, and I say that as the biggest Vinny D fan in the world.
It's a bad one.
It's one of the
Anyway,
worst
so
ones.
they'd made Taxi. Taxi's testing great, so let's get Tim's story lined up.
Right. They commissioned Lennon and Garrett to write like 3 more Taxi movies. They go, this is our franchise. And they go, we got to hand our hottest property to our hottest director, Tim Story. Let's give him Fantastic Four. Hey, Tim, the one thing is you have to start filming in 8 weeks.
Is that true? That's great.
They like hire him and it's like super fast.
Right.
They have a draft of the screenplay, but they're not happy with it. So they rewrite it very quickly.
Who wrote the screenplay?
I think Simon Kinberg is one of 3.
Mark Frost wrote the screenplay, which is crazy.
I think he wrote the
Creator.
original
He probably
version
wrote
that they
an original,
rewrote.
right? Michael France had a draft. He wrote like Goldeneye.
I think Kinberg tried to sort of tie it together, but had
Kinberg's not credited.
Oh, he's on credit. He had I heard an interview with him where he talked about having like 6 weeks to
Sure.
make it. They also want to make it smaller and cheaper.
Yeah, that movie is one set piece, basically.
It's one set piece.
It doesn't really... Yeah, it's a really weird movie.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It's
It
really
does
terrible.
seem really rushed. It's
Yes.
full of product placement. Like,
Uh-huh.
insane product placement. Like, the Human Torch gets banged against a big Whopper poster.
That says new flaming
New
hot
flame
Whopper.
grilled, and he, like, lights it, and it, like, smokes. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of extreme sports.
Yeah, the Human Torch has, like, a snowboard with him at all times, even though they're in New York City.
And then there's the BMX sequence, too, where he reveals, comes up with the nicknames for the members of the Fantastic Four
By
in
himself.
a post-race interview
Basically,
at
like,
a
at
BMX
the X Games,
Right.
yeah.
It feels like some Fox executive was like, my kid can't stop talking about these X Games. Can we put 3 X Games sequences in this movie? Like, everything in the movie feels like some executive heard a kid. It's like, well, this
it's by
14-year-old I
committee.
fucked told me that this is cool. Everyone in Hollywood's a degenerate.
You've got Welsh character actor Ioan Gruffudd
A terrible casting choice.
as Mr. Fantastic. I mean, he's basically just playing like a stodgy person.
A non-entity of a character. He
Yeah.
never comes across as truly smart, and he never
No,
comes
he doesn't.
across...
He comes across
Yeah.
as a fucking idiot.
He comes off mad
because
dumb.
he's like always being stomped on by everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
and like he's supposedly like Sue Storm is like his old flame, and he doesn't seem to get that she like likes him or might care how he feels about her.
In the comics, and the movie's laying this really hard, there's sometimes the sense of like Doom was with Sue before Reed.
They keep swapping. Sue.
Right. And there's a lot of their rivalry comes...
We have to talk about Jessica Alba as Sue Storm. She's in whiteface, basically. She's wearing a blonde wig and blue contact lenses.
She's a Latina woman, and they try their hardest to make her look as Caucasian as possible.
Which is insane.
She looks
like an alien.
Yeah, she looks like an alien. She looks like white chicks. She looks like...
Yeah, she looks like white chick.
She looks like Marlon Wayans in White Chicks.
And there's this like somewhat creepy sequence where she has to undress in public.
Oh,
to
there
go
are
invisible.
3 sequences where that happens, David.
It's crazy.
There are 3. There's one sequence where she's out on the street and she gets mobbed by fans because they want to hit home this idea that they're public celebrities.
Right.
And she's so uncomfortable by the fact that she's being mobbed and recognized by everyone. Because it's like she sees a newsstand and the tabloid covers are like, Invisible Woman, what's she wearing? Like whatever it is. And then they're like, that's her. And she goes, she disappears, but her clothes are still there. And they go, she's right there. So then she just takes off her bra. There's like a CGI floating
That
bra.
happens more
she
than
takes
once.
off and runs naked. It happens again on the bridge
It
sequence.
happens in the bridge, yeah.
The bridge sequence
Where
which
she
is-
rematerializes in her underwear because she can't control her control her powers.
And then everyone
yet.
looks at her and she goes, ugh, and
Yeah,
does like the
it's-
cheesecake pose where she's covering herself up.
Yeah.
She's also supposed to play a scientist in the movie.
I guess so.
Is not convincing.
I mean, there's no mention of science in this movie, though. It's like Victor Von Doom like runs like some sort of science corporation or you know NASA, the military. They don't. There's no like application of their science.
Michael Chiklis, who is far and away the shortest actor in the cast, plays the Thing.
He's the best one of them.
I disagree.
Who do you think's better?
I think Chris Evans is good.
Evans is okay. His character is impossible.
Yeah, it was poorly written, but I think he actually
He's
you
okay.
see how he could have played a good Human Torch.
Yeah, maybe.
The Chickless is wearing a suit made of silly putty.
Yeah, he's wearing like a rubber suit. I think he's all right.
He's supposed to be made of rocks, and when he bends his arm, there are creases in the rocks.
I know. And there's a moment at which a bird poops on him, and he like rubs it off, and it's literally
And
like
paint
it's
where
it's
it
like
rubs
he's
off.
made of
Yeah.
fabric. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still think he's the best though.
The movie cost tens of millions of dollars,
Yeah,
and that's what the suit looks like because they didn't have fucking time to develop anything.
well, right. It didn't cost a lot though, right? Didn't it cost like $75 million?
They said it
was
cost
like
100, and it definitely cost like 75. They definitely said it cost more because they wanted to make it look like a serious movie.
Yeah, it didn't cost a lot. Yeah.
They do test screenings. The movie's a disaster. In between,
Oh, we should mention Julian McMahon of Nip Tuck plays Victor Von Doom.
yeah, who's now like a Trump-like businessman.
He's so bad.
He's a Trump-like businessman who is on the expedition with them,
Yeah.
and he gets lightning powers.
Yeah, he gets lightning powers and like metal.
Right, because
Skin.
a key detail to like Dr. Doom was that he
He's
was
vain.
not part of the expedition.
No.
Part of what drove him is that he felt left out.
Yeah, and but also that he's terribly vain, and that's why he wears this mask. Because,
Right.
Yeah,
The superpowers he gets, which are his powers of sorcery, are things he learns. He's not hit by an accident. He doesn't get hit by cosmic
Well,
wave.
they do it in the Trank.
All of them fucking do this thing where he's
know.
part of the expedition, and then he gets weird metal powers. He starts
Yeah.
turning into metal. And I love the fact that it's like, the idea was he got a very small scar on his face.
Yeah,
he was
in the
so
comics,
vain.
Right,
He said,
that
give me a mask and to cover it up.
Right,
He
puts it
grabbed
on
the
too
mask
fast.
before it was finished. He fucking burned his whole face. And he wears the suit of armor to go along with it. It's his ancient, like, familial coat of arms. And he wears that. And now he's this terrifying man who owns the fact that he's like a dude in a suit of armor. And they all make it like he's slowly turning into tin.
Yeah, I mean, the first it's like he's in the
Skin's
story
peeling
movie.
off.
His skin's peeling off. He's got metal showing. He's unhappy about this,
He hates it.
but he also likes it.
He likes
'Cause
the
he's
power.
like power. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the power, like you say, is just he shoots lightning.
He shoots lightning.
Yeah.
On
And there's this climax where they beat him together.
one block. They just hang out on one street corner.
Yeah, they have one street corner to shoot on.
He
And
starts
they,
shooting
like-
some people. They're like, nope.
Yeah, they like wrap him up. They force field him. They metal him. I mean, they like punch him. They set him on fire. Whatever. They sort of freeze him, basically.
Yeah.
And then you think like, oh, this is like in every superhero movie where it looks like he's defeated, but he's going to come back and do like more things and be even more. And then no, that's the end.
That's the end
It's
of
like, great, we did it at the end.
And the end,
High
like,
five, everyone.
the end tag is they put him in a box, his
Yeah,
frozen
yeah.
body, and the label on the box says Latveria. And it's like, oh, he's getting shipped off to the country that we know he rules.
Right.
Dumb.
Dumb.
Fucking dumb. There's exactly one moment in the film I like.
What is it?
It's not even
You gotta
perfect.
swallow that bagel.
Gotta swallow this motherfucking bagel. There's one moment that I think gets at the spirit of the thing. That is almost a good, well-observed character moment. Victor Von Doom, now wearing a mask because he feels like it, even though his face is turning to metal, gets a grenade launcher, like a rocket-powered grenade launcher, and goes to the top of his building and just starts shooting it off the top of the building.
Right.
He's shooting it towards their building because he wants to kill them.
Yeah.
This is all totally unjustified.
It makes no sense.
It goes from
And
0
then
to
there's this
1,000.
Human Torch. Is that the scene you
yeah.
like?
So he sees the missile coming towards him,
Yeah,
and
and
they
he
look at
flames
it,
on, yeah.
and he runs towards it.
And it's just this line. You like that line?
I think in a better movie,
Yeah.
this would be a decent character beat. Sue says, Johnny, don't even think about it. And he says, I never do.
Yeah,
And he
it's
jumps
okay.
off and flame on. I don't think it's like a funny
never do.
line. I don't think it's like a witty line. I think it actually kind of captures the character for one moment. Is that Johnny is not a good person.
He's all right.
He's a very selfish
He's
person.
a hothead.
When he's a hero, it's always just sort of out of vanity.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, he loves the attention.
He likes attention.
He
likes
loves
his
the power.
family.
He likes showing off. He likes his family. He'll protect them. But it's like he's not going to chase this missile, which is, it's heat-seeking.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Ugh.
And he drives it into like a oil tanker or
He
something.
drives it into my butthole and I fart. It's the worst movie. But I like that one
Kerry
moment.
Washington
He's not
plays
doing
the
it to
Thing's
save the
girlfriend.
day. He doesn't think about it. He's just, I never do. I'm just going to do this because I like flying. It's
fine.
decent. Kerry Washington plays his blind girlfriend.
The
who's
Thing's
a
blind
sculptress.
girlfriend, yeah.
There's a big set piece scene on a bridge where the Thing wants to kill himself because
Yeah.
he goes to visit his wife after he's turned into a rock monster.
And she doesn't want to hang out with him.
She doesn't want to hang out with him. She thinks he's grody. And so...
Yeah, there's a big plot thread about the Thing, like, unthinging himself.
They try to
which
unthing
is
him.
something they do in the Trank movie, too.
Yeah, they go to a bridge. A bird poops on him. He gets angry, so he walks off the bridge.
Yeah.
And then a car hits him.
Yeah. No, and then that's the other big set piece.
And then there's
they
like
just have to
a
deal with
multi-car
their car.
pileup. So they have to all like come and save him, which includes Jessica Alba being her panties. It's the fucking worst. And then right when they finally solve the problem, they save the day, and everyone cheers the Fantastic Four for the first time publicly, even though they're responsible for the entire thing happening.
Yep.
Everyone's cheering, going, yeah, Fantastic Four. And it's that level of, like, extra work where it's people holding up two, like, number one fingers and going, yeah, Fantastic Four. His ex-fiancée.
Yep.
Just
Who's,
mysteriously...
I believe played by Brigitte Wilson-Sampras, am I right?
Laurie Holden
it's Roy
of The
Holden.
Walking Dead.
Okay.
And X-Files fame.
What movie was Brigitte Wilson-Sampras in? Anyway, go on.
Billy
Carry on.
Madison.
Well, okay, sure. Yes. I was just like, go on, carry on. She shows up. Laurie Holden, here she is.
Suddenly, at this crowd scene on a bridge that was blocked off, she shows up in, like, a negligee
Yeah.
and just looks at
She
him.
wears a negligee in all of her
Yeah.
scenes. Yeah.
And just shakes her head and then takes the engagement ring off her finger and throws it on the ground and walks away. That's the level of screenwriting in this movie, that people just show up at moments, even though it doesn't make sense how they got there, where they were, how they knew where anyone was, and they just do symbolic gestures. The movie is terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
It makes a lot of money.
It makes a good amount of money.
It opens to, I think, $60 million opening weekend.
I saw it.
10 years ago.
I saw it opening weekend.
A big stat was that year was really, really bad for the box office in North America. And every week was down from previous weeks. From previous years, rather.
Yeah.
So they always, a fucking serious box office reporting, they always do this thing where it's like, compared to the weekend of September 7th, 2013, box office sales are up 30% or down 20%. And every single weekend was down. The summer was down.
Yeah, and it was up. You're saying this was the
2004.
up week.
This was the first up week
Right.
all year.
Right.
So Fantastic Four got
2005.
an unnecessary boost because it looked like it was saving the summer.
It made $150 million in the U.S.
Yeah, and it cost $75. It did well. So they immediately greenlit a sequel. And they thought the sequel, we're going to expand. We're going to go even bigger. We're bringing in
And
the
they're right.
Silver Surfer.
Right.
It made the exact same amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It cost a lot more.
God, that movie was marketed like really heavily.
Yeah.
They did the Galactus arc. The most
Galactus,
famous
Eater of Worlds, intergalactic creature who literally eats planets.
Yeah.
Has the potential to be the Marvel Universe's greatest disaster movie, like a beautiful Roland Emmerich movie, where suddenly this horned, armored giant comes in and starts destroying your world. And
Yeah.
who can save us? Only the Fantastic Four.
and the Silver Surfer, and the Watcher, and the Ultimate Nullifier.
In this movie, Galactus is a cloud.
Yeah, he's a cloud. Mostly, it's the Silver Surfer arrives.
Yeah, and
He's
is like,
played by Lawrence Fishburne's voice
and Doug Jones's body.
in Doug Jones's body, and he sort of
His rock
surfs
hard,
ar-
shiny.
He surfs
fucking silver
around.
body. Yeah, he does a lot of surfing.
At one point, Doctor Doom gets his board or something.
Yeah, Doctor Doom comes back and
Yeah,
he's
of
got a
course.
new suit of armor and he's riding like a disc.
Yeah,
And then he gets the surfboard and then he's surfing too.
and isn't there he like Silver Surfer kind of falls in love with the Invisible Woman?
Yeah, they the beginning of the movie is their wedding,
Yeah,
and Brian
yeah.
Posehn is the minister.
yeah, and Stan Lee tries to get into the wedding, and they're like, "You can't come in." He's like, "But I'm Stan Lee." He says it.
which is so frustrating
It's very
because
annoying.
the one.
It's the one time that he plays himself, or maybe. I don't
Well,
know.
and also in the first movie they have him play Willie Lumpkin, Fantastic Four's mailman,
yeah.
who they always jokingly say is the fifth member. And it was cool that he got to play a character that he created. It wasn't just a cameo as like horny old man. It's like he's playing a Stan Lee character.
Yeah, well, in the second movie, he played Stan Lee.
Right, fuck the movie.
Andre Brower is in it.
Yeah, given nothing to do other than
He's
go,
like
listen,
he's the
Fantastic
general.
Four, I don't think you should.
He probably got like
So much money.
some.
And he's a pro.
He's a great. He's so
He
good.
hits his marks.
Look, he won an Academy Award and he deserved it.
For the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer.
For Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Right.
Yeah, that movie basically relegates Mr. Fantastic even. Like, it's like, he doesn't matter. We don't like him.
The Silver Surfer interrupts their wedding.
Yeah.
And the Human Torch
the main
chases him.
character,
That's maybe the
basically.
one good action sequence is that
It's all right.
chase.
Yeah.
Which was the trailer. The entire trailer was just that sequence.
Yeah.
The first movie was really kind of a kids movie.
Yeah.
They test screened it. It didn't go well, so they went, let's add in more like kids humor. So there's a lot of like Ben and Johnny fucking with each other, which is a staple of the comics, but in a really goofy like Nickelodeon sitcom kind of way.
Yeah, it's really bad.
There's a montage of them adjusting to having powers that includes a shot of Mr. Fantastic reaching out of the bathroom to get toilet paper. Stretching to get toilet paper because his butthole is poopy. And he's got a stretchy arm, so he's gonna. That's a thing that's in the movie.
They don't know what to do with the stretchy.
They don't know what to do.
You know, they never, even though that's visually the best power.
Second movie, they try to get a little more serious. They do this ballsy action sequence, and then a big thing
and
where
the Nolan movie had come out, and so like it's like, all right, well, superheroes can be serious. Like,
Batman Begins came out the same year as the first Fantastic Four, which is a really, really interesting case study.
And just took a big shit all over its face.
Yeah. There's a big midsection where they all swap powers, so they're all like...
Yes, right.
Human Torch is Rocky, and the Thing is fiery, and then they have all the powers at the same time. Sue's kind of interested in Silver Surfer. Yeah. Most of his role is just him saying, like, shit's coming.
And then the cloud comes.
And then the cloud doesn't come. It's the worst
It's a bad movie. Anyway. And then that was it.
No more Fantastic Four. That movie costs a lot more.
Yeah.
And it makes the exact same amount of money.
Yeah, and then Chris Evans quickly goes off to do Captain America.
Yeah.
Just a couple years later.
Right, and they go, it's done.
And that's it, yeah.
But as soon as 4 or 5 years later, Fox is apparently considering rebooting the characters.
Right.
Because if they don't, they will lose the rights. And at this point, Marvel is scooping the rights back. They're going, we're making our movies our way so other people can't fuck them up and hire Tim Story.
Well, also, you know, integrating them all into this big shared world. And
all of that.
Yeah.
Right. And important to note, the Fantastic Four were the first family. That as they're establishing this timeline of all these characters, it becomes harder and harder to even imagine Marvel being able to integrate Fantastic Four into their universe. They could. Yeah. But it would be weird.
The idea is they are first. It's true.
They were the first.
They're kind of their first.
Right? So, mumblings. Maybe they're trying to do this. Maybe they're trying to do that. They're going to make it at some point. Because Marvel would love to get the characters back.
And then this movie Chronicle comes out.
It's solid.
I don't like it.
I
dislike that movie, but people like it.
I think it's solid.
Don't like that movie.
I think more than anything, it's like a really good showcase reel for Josh Trank as a filmmaker. That's
exactly what it is.
It's not a great movie, but it's a really good showcase.
It's a found footage movie.
He's got good performances from his actors. He casts...
With Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan and another guy. Who's the other guy?
Who knows?
Yeah.
The one who's
and
furious
it's about some
and punches
kids,
a wall.
And it's about some kids who get powers. They can fly. They're telekinetic. For some reason, they shoot everything on like a video camera.
It's a found footage movie, but it's one of the found footage movies that actually uses found footage well.
Kind of, except by the end they do have to be like, I'm going to bring the camera with me!
Sure.
Okay!
Which is my problem with found footage. But it uses it better and sticks to it as a cinematic device more than most of these fucking
I don't
movies.
like that movie. It's too self-serious. It's like, Dane DeHaan's character's really... I don't like that movie.
It costs like $15 million to make.
It costs no money and
the effects are great.
Yeah, it looks
and it
good.
makes a lot of money. So everyone goes, ooh, this guy's interesting.
It makes total sense.
Fox goes, maybe this is our in-house guy. Maybe we can incubate him and make him, to us, what like Christopher Nolan is to Warner Brothers. Sure. He had made small-scale films that gave him Batman, and now he's their big tentpole guy, right? So they went, what can we get Trank on? Fantastic Four. Trank, do you have any ideas for Fantastic Four? And Trank goes, yeah, this is what I would do with Fantastic Four. I'd try to make it really grounded and gritty. I'd make them young. I'd make them emotionally tortured. So right now it sounds like he's just pitching Chronicle.
And like he wants to make like a body horror movie.
He wants to make
like their
Cronenbergian
transformations into these things kind of scary and weird.
Yeah.
Whereas usually it's like cosmic rays, crazy, and
it's fantastic.
3 of them are like fantastic, and the thing's like I hate my body, I suck. You know, that's the only conflict.
Bright colors, and fun, and all this magical power.
No, he's gonna do this like creepy sci-fi horror skew, like whatever.
What is your response when you hear this at the time? This is like 2012, maybe.
That
the
sounds
rumblings
shitty.
Okay, these are my feelings. I go, that doesn't sound like the Fantastic Four movie I want. That doesn't sound like the one I drew on my notebooks.
No.
But at this point, I have seen 3 shitty movies.
Yeah.
This sounds so far away from what Tim Story did, which was my least favorite take anyone could do.
I understand. And I thought that too.
I would rather someone make a good movie with these characters that doesn't classically represent them than make another shitty movie.
Right.
Homogenized. It sounds like he has a strong take on it at the very least, which I'm excited by.
Right.
I go, I'll wait and see. He cast 4 very strong young actors. Miles Teller,
Yeah.
Kate Mara.
Okay, Miles Teller is way too young, and like when he was cast, I was like, yeah, Miles Teller was good in Whiplash and The Spectacular Now, playing a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But like, why would he be Mr. Fantastic?
The Fantastic Four should be in their 40s.
It doesn't make any sense.
I believe this strongly.
Of course they
I
should.
think Johnny should be younger.
Yeah.
And the rest of them should be like
They can be in their
30s to 40s.
It's
I think Mr.
fine.
Fantastic should be 40. Ben Grimm should be around 40.
I mean, in the comic book, originally at least, Mr. Fantastic's like a lot older than the Invisible Woman, and it is creepy.
And the Roger Corman movie does that.
Yeah, it
When he
does.
first meets Sue, she's
'Cause
a
he
little
has
girl,
gray
and
temples.
he's a professor
That's
that she
in
has
the
a cute on.
comics.
I know.
That's in the
She has a
comics.
crush on him. She thinks he's cute. I like that they did that. Because I like creepy things.
So Miles Teller. Kate Mara.
They make them all little kids.
Kate Mara was in House of Cards,
Yeah.
which she was fine in, and she's really great in 2 scenes in Brokeback Mountain. But I'm
Really great.
not exactly going around saying like, "Hey, Kate Mara is like
She's
the
solid.
greatest."
I think she's
fine.
solid.
Michael B. Jordan is Human Torch. Great casting. I love Michael B.
Great
Jordan.
choice. He's
good
super
in
fucking
everything.
charismatic.
Jamie Bell is the Thing. Makes no sense. Jamie Bell is so pretty. Why would you make him the Thing?
Well, a couple things. Once again, Ben Grimm should be a big guy.
Yeah. Not like a wiry little like 5'7" Brit with like a dancer's body
And they keep on talking.
and like a chiseled jaw.
In this Josh Trank movie, they keep on saying he's pretty in a very delicate way.
Yeah.
They keep on saying in this Josh Trank movie, like, Ben, he's the muscle.
Yeah, they he's
the bruiser.
Rough. He's supposed to be a rough kid.
He's rough
yeah.
and tumble. I think the reason they hired him was because Jamie Bell has proven himself to be a master of motion capture.
I see. Yeah,
He's
Yeah,
done
he
a lot
was
of
in
motion
Tintin.
capture work, and he played Tintin, and
Makes
he's very
sense.
good at it.
Yeah, he's good at it. He's fine in the movie.
Along with Andy Serkis, the 2 people who have sort of stood out in motion capture work are Jamie Bell and Toby Kebbell, who is cast as Victor Von Doom.
Wait, what was Toby Kebbell? What did
He was
do?
Koba
Oh
in
yeah,
Dawn of the
in
Planet of the
Dawn of
Apes,
the
which
Planet
is,
of the
I think, a phenomenal performance.
Apes. Yeah.
And there was
definitely.
another motion capture movie he did that I can't remember now.
Let me look it up.
Toby
Kebbell, who I mostly know as a character in the Black Mirror episode, The Entire History of You. That's mostly like what I know that actor from.
I think he's a fine actor.
He's fine.
I think you're saying he's a fine actor. I think he's a fine actor.
He's in Wrath of the Titans.
Yeah, that movie rules.
Does it though?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, Black Mirror. Yeah, nothing really.
He's really good in Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, fuck off.
I'll fuck off.
Anyway, he's a young British actor.
Their take is more inspired by the Ultimate Fantastic Four, in
Yes,
which they all
which I
meet
hate.
in their early 20s. It's not my favorite interpretation of the
Stupid.
character.
It's this stupid comic that Marvel. I like the Ultimate line, but not Ultimate.
They all meet in their
Fantastic Four.
20s. It's sort of a Harry Potter type thing where it's like the school for the most brilliant science kids.
Exactly.
And they all meet there, and then they become the Fantastic Four traveling to different dimensions. Rather than into space, they go into alternate dimensions. And that's what this movie does.
Yeah, and the original comics had that too. The negative zone, these sort of alternate dimensions they go to.
But it seems like for the first time, we're going to get a Fantastic Four movie, whether or not it's the right
that has
vision.
singularity of
that has,
vision.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Now, Max Landis was originally going to write the movie, right? And then he exited for some reason.
Yes.
He had written Chronicle.
Turned down his pitch.
Yeah.
They picked up another script, which was recently reviewed by Devin Faraci over at Birth Movies Death. And that script sounds perfect.
Who's it by?
Jeremy Slater, who I think still gets co-screenwriting credit on this film. But his film started essentially what is Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. The entire story that comprises that entire film was the first act of this script. And the end.
You don't have me so far because it's not like the first act is. Anyway, go on.
No. I'm saying everything that happens
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
was condensed to 30 minutes.
That's what should have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's Act 1.
Okay.
And then the Mole Man, who lost funding for his
Right. Who is Tim Blake
experiments
Nelson
to create life, because they put the funding into the Fantastic Four instead, unleashes a giant monster. The Fantastic Four escape from their containment unit, fight the giant moloid on Fifth Avenue, are publicly now revealed to the world. The government has to weaponize them and make them a team. They fight Victor Von Doom, who builds Latveria in the alternate. It sounds awesome.
Okay.
Galactus is in it. The setup for the second movie.
Galactus is in it
The
too?
setup is that he finds Galactus in the negative zone,
Uh-huh.
and Dr. Doom is threatening to unleash Galactus on the world.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a lot, but
It
that
sounds like a lot,
okay.
but it sounds like a good script.
And he did get credit, as you say, along with Kim and Trank.
Yeah. They got scared that it was too expensive,
Yeah.
and it was too weird.
Well, why are Fox just such cheapskates?
Scaredy cats?
Well, I mean, I think also because Josh Trank's a young director. He's
Yeah.
unproven. He hasn't worked with a big budget. Yeah.
But they want to work in the Fantastic Cart. They want to work in Herbie the Robot. They want to work in all these elements of the lore in this sort of modern way. It wasn't your grandpa's Fantastic Four. It wasn't my Fantastic Four, but it was a Fantastic Four.
All right. Anyway, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Something fucking happened
We
with
don't
this movie.
really, we should say, we don't totally, no one totally knows what happened with this movie.
It's sort of one of the
This
greatest
movie-
filmmaking mysteries
Yeah,
right
and
now,
I'm sure
is
more
what
will
exactly
come out
went wrong
because
where.
the movie, when you watch it, is completely bizarre. It takes place almost entirely in a lab.
It's barely coherent. It takes place in one location. Yeah.
It has almost no action in it.
90% of the scenes that were in the trailers are not in the film, including action set pieces.
There's tons of stuff in the trailer that's not in the movie. The movie was obviously reshot because Kate Mara is wearing this horrible wig.
Yeah.
So there's all this stuff that was obviously added in.
At
There's
like 4
one
different points, it
scene-
skips ahead a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's one scene with Victor Von Doom where he's this like bearded hacker right at the beginning called like, Doom.com or whatever. Yeah. And then he's like in a scene that is very clearly completely ADR'd. Like they cut to like wide shots so you can't see the people talking. It's like, get back to the Doom. Clean yourself up, Doom. Like, get back to the lab. And so then Doom shows up in like reshoot mode as like another scientist.
There's a lot of that, and
them.
Tim Blake Nelson's character was supposed to be the Mole Man.
Right.
They changed his name so that he's not.
And he's in it, but he's just a grump.
But they changed his name through ADR.
Right.
Only when people's mouths are off screen do they refer to him, and not as Dr. Harvey Elder, but whatever his fucking name is, Mr. John Businessman. And Victor Von Doom, they were in the script. They were going to call him Victor Von Dam, and they changed all through ADR. The movie is so compromised and so weird.
There was some movie.
Yeah.
That Trank made.
Yes.
It was obviously presented to the studio. The studio hated it.
The one thing I have heard conclusively is that, like, 6 months before they were going to film, they got cold feet at his take, cut his budget in half.
That's so strange. Why would you do that? Why is that going to make a good movie?
And they commissioned a rewrite, and they said, take the first act of this script and make it the whole film. The things that happen Act 2 and 3 are really expensive.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they just decided, look, this movie's not going to make money. Let's cut our losses before we even start production.
I think it was cynical. I don't think they thought it's not going to make money. I think they thought Marvel's such a strong brand. Superheroes are so big.
Like we don't even need to
we
make
can
an
release
effort.
Fucking whatever and it'll do well.
Well, that's not smart.
It made less in its entire run than the 2 Tim Story movies did in their opening weekend 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It is a massive bomb.
It's a huge bomb.
And it's a weird neither fish nor fowl of a film.
It's a terrible movie. And Trank tweeted something along the lines of like, I had a great movie like a year ago and you wish you could have seen it, and then he deleted it immediately, obviously.
I don't doubt his version was better.
I'll
tell you why. Because I always will prefer a cohesive vision
I guess so.
to a mishmash.
Yeah.
I would rather see his version of the movie, even if it doesn't.
It's hard to imagine there would be
work.
A worse movie.
Because this movie barely makes sense on a scene-to-scene basis. I was admittedly very drunk when I watched it because I
was sober.
I went into it like a
as a judge,
like a battered
as the judge.
Like I'm a member.
I was
of
sober as the judge, which is not very sober.
judge.
Isn't he drunk all the time?
No, he's sobered up now because
but he has a brain tumor.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Right, you went in sober. I went in with a brain tumor. No, my relationship with these Fantastic Four movies, it's like an abusive relationship. And I put off seeing the movie for weeks because I didn't want to go through it. And I thought it was actually going to hurt me, honestly. And so I brought beer into the theater and I got very drunk when I watched it. By the end of it, I was just loudly sighing and like throwing up my hands. I saw it with my friend Orlando.
I threw up my hands a lot.
And I was like, fucking come on. Everything about it just pissed me off so much because I truly love these characters as much as I love any characters in pop culture. And there are moments, brief moments. At this point, I'll take what I can fucking get. But there are moments where I just see the 4 appropriate colors on the screen at the same time, and I get the pangs of like there could be a Fantastic Four movie. Like, you see orange and red and blue and Sue's sort of whitish, bluish thing, and I go, the powers are happening at the same time for half a second. This movie isn't working, but I see the power the Fantastic Four movie could have.
It's like the movie has no set pieces except for So the movie is, they go to this special school, basically.
The first 45 minutes are introducing all the characters poorly.
So you got Mr. Fantastic is this, like, boy genius whose dad is Tim Heidecker, and he's like... I would love to
Tim
talk to
Heidecker,
Tim
who, by the way, is like
this.
7th build in the end credits. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I did notice it, of course. It's insane.
Yeah.
He's in one scene for 1 second sitting on a chair.
And he's just like,
And
hey, turn that fucking machine up.
Sue Storm is... the adopted, like, Bosnian refugee daughter of Franklin Storm, who's played by Reggie Cathy,
a great character actor.
And then Michael B. Jordan plays Johnny, his, like, son.
Who has left the world of science behind, just wants to race cars.
He's like a mechanic, basically, but he can
build
anything. Yeah, they say. So he's brought in to build a time machine, essentially, or as, a fucking wormhole machine.
Ben Grimm gets beaten regularly by his brother growing up, who is played by, did you notice this? Who played Ben Grimm's abusive brother?
Who?
The Thing's catchphrase is clobbering time. In
which
this
I
film,
hated
the
that.
opening scene, his brother's beating him, and he goes, "Oh, it's clobbering time," and it beats the shit out of him. It's like, oh, this is why Ben Grimm has a chip on his shoulder. Playing the role of whatever his name was, Jimmy Grimm, Chet Hayes.
Oh, no, I did know that. Right,
Rapper
I knew that.
and son of Tom Hanks,
son,
Chet Hayes.
Yeah. It's, again, one scene.
And but why was Chet Hayes
Well, they must have shot more of that, because there's no way... Like that,
I'm not asking why would he take a part that small. I'm saying why did they choose him to play any part in that
He's
film?
fine. He's good. He gives a good performance. I think he's great. Great job, Chet Hayes.
Okay.
He's okay.
The first 45 minutes are just...
And Ben Grimm's not really involved in the first 40. That's it. He's like...
They're best
he's
friends
Reed's
at
friend,
school. Once he
then...
gets recruited, he's like, I don't belong here, and he leaves. Right. And he's gone, and he's working in some auto repair shop.
Yeah.
The 5 main characters don't end up in the same city until minute 55, maybe?
Doom is there, too, and he's like a rival, kind of...
They get drunk, their funding gets cut, They go, you built the interdimensional travel machine, but we're going to hire other NASA scientists to go in and actually pilot it. Right. They get drunk and they go, fuck that, let's drunkenly go
one of
tonight.
The most, like, in a scene that feels like it was written on a napkin, they get drunk and all of a sudden decide that, like, because, like, we went to the moon, man, and we built this thing, we should be able to use it. Makes no sense.
This is also over an hour into the film.
And you're like, please, someone do something.
The Fantastic Four do not go on the expedition that turns them into Fantastic Four until over an hour into the film.
This Tim Story movie, that's 10 minutes in.
So, of course, the 4 people you expect go inside the ship. Reed Richards, of course. Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
He smashed his car, so his dad said you have to help fix this machine.
Yeah, he's there too.
Right. They call up Ben Grimm at 3 o'clock in the morning.
He shows up.
They go, get on a Metro North. He lives in upstate New York. They go, get on a Metro North. Can you be here in 2 hours? We're going to do a 5 a.m. drunk run to an alternate dimension. Right? He gets there, and then, of course, the 4th member is...
Victor Von Doom.
Because Sue Storm's sleeping.
Yeah.
Because Sue Storm is not even really a fucking member of this movie.
Not really.
So they all go off.
No, but her power is pattern recognition.
She fucking recognizes patterns on computer screens.
When she listens to her, like, Beats by Dre headphones.
Yeah, and her power is that she's not into Reed Richards, and he's thirsty.
He's mad thirsty.
He's mad thirsty, bro.
Anyway, so they go to an alternate dimension. Yeah, she wakes up and is like,
beeping.
You
What?
guys
I
went to
recognize
the
a
alternate
pattern.
dimension.
Oh, no. So she gets on a computer, tries to pull them out of it. They all get hit by waves. Dr. Doom gets left behind. Yeah. They make it through. When they come through on the other side...
They do this, like, really lame thing where it's like Reed Richards is, like, hit by, like, something stretchy. And, like, Johnny's set on fire.
He's, like, lighting a cigarette right as the machine goes off.
And then the thing is, like, covered in space rock.
Yeah. And then when they come through on the other side, there's a residual wave that hits Sue Storm. So Sue Storm lacks the agency to even be part of the team, go on the trip, explore the other dimension. And Dr. Doom's left behind there. And now, like, an hour and 15 minutes into the movie...
We cut to 1 year later.
Well, they do 5 minutes of the body horror shit. There's 5 minutes that I think kind of works. It's really weirdly edited. It's clearly ADR'd. Yeah. But there's some interesting imagery in it.
It doesn't work because you're so annoyed at the movie, but, like, you know,
there's interesting
a context
imagery
in which it could have worked.
Yes.
I mean, the idea of Reed's stretchy thing hurting.
Yes.
I don't like that. It's stupid. It shouldn't hurt. Like, that's not the idea of that power.
If you want to make it scary, make him scared by what's happening. Yeah. Not because it hurts, because it looks weird and that's a terrifying reality.
So anyway, then he stretches into an air shaft and he, like, goes to see Ben, who's just a pile of rocks. And he's like, I'll help you, Ben. Don't worry. I'm going to help you. And then he runs away.
Freaks out. And a year later, he's living in, like, Albania. And,
it's the worst.
And he's using his stretch powers to make his face look like someone a little bit different than Miles Teller.
Yeah.
So no one can recognize him.
Yep.
Ben Grimm is being weaponized by the military, but that sequence has been cut out of the movie. It's in the trailers, but it's cut out of the movie.
You see a video of it.
of him going and fucking fighting.
And you're like, oh, why didn't we? Please, could we see him? I'll watch that. That's fine. Is Ben gonna punch some people? I'll watch that.
The entire movie takes place in this one fucking lab.
It takes place in a lab.
They get Reed Richards back because they're getting weird signals.
No, pattern recognition.
The pattern. Dr. Doom's there.
No, they're like, Invisible Woman, Sue, she won't do it. And they're like, Sue, you gotta do it because Dr. Doom's in there maybe. And she's like, all right, I'll use my pattern recognition powers and finds him, even though none of them could find him. It doesn't. I don't know.
And he comes through and he starts busting heads.
And Human Torch has fire powers.
Yeah.
He just hangs out in a room.
He makes heads explode. And they're like,
no, Dr. Doom makes heads explode.
That's what I'm saying.
I was just talking about Human Torch.
Okay. Dr. Doom comes through and he makes heads explode. And
he's like a metal
man. He's a metal man with lightning powers.
And he doesn't even really have lightning. He just has head exploding powers.
Has exploding
He
powers.
makes a humming noise and then their heads explode.
Yeah.
This all happens in the movie.
That's a good bagel.
And then he goes back to his doom zone, and they go in there with him.
And for the first time at hour
1
minute 40 of the film, the Fantastic Four suits up together in the same frame.
Kind of. Not really. Like, there's a shot.
They go to the alternate
They
zone
don't really work together.
for 3 minutes. There's a 3-minute sequence.
And Mr. Fantastic says something along the lines of, like, he's stronger than any of us, but he's not stronger than all of us. And then...
Oh, we're a team? I didn't know.
The most mind-bogglingly confusing CGI ensues. Nothing that happens makes
chaos.
sense.
And it's
nothing
clearly...
that happens to me. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Like,
no, nothing makes sense.
No. And then they defeat him.
It ended, and Orlando said to me, my friend Orlando, who I saw it with, turned to me and said, I don't understand how they beat Dr. Doom. What just happened? You don't understand.
No, you don't.
It's chaos. It clearly was like they used the fact that the Thing and Human Torch are largely CGI and used stand-in for Kate Mara and then a wig. And like none of the actors, Lucas style, were clearly in the same place at the same time. And they cut it together, and it's chaos, and then it ends, and then it cuts to another year later, and they come to their lab, and they're like, nice new digs. Well, I guess we're a team now. What should we call ourselves? And they're like, the Awesome Four, the Cool Group, the Rad Quartet. And it's like, I don't know, something fantastic. And it's like, wait, say that again. And he goes, oh, you mean the... And then it cut to black, directed by Josh Trank. They do the same fucking end tag that Avengers Age of Ultron does.
It's not their fault. They can't have known.
Yeah, but it's also dumb.
It is it's really annoying.
And the whole movie, they're wearing these drab black suits, like containment suits. They're in the lab. There's one fight.
It's the worst movie. It really is. And but
I
went but
it's better than the Tim Story one.
I don't think so. But
I think it is.
No, it's not. It's not better than anything.
In the moments where it works for 4 seconds at a time,
it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The Tim Story movies are like aggressively mediocre and thus like awful to watch and like a really painful experience. And he lights the Whopper on fire.
Yeah,
and you're just so mad at them. Yeah. But like they do have like I said, the Tim Story movies. It's like scene 1. Dr. Doom, we need to get up to this space station.
You're
and he's
clearly
like,
watching
right.
scenes in order.
And
that's
then
what you're saying.
Scene 2, we're on the space station. We got our powers. Yeah. Scene 3, we have our powers.
There's linear story progression, which the Trank movie lacks. But here's, David, I don't even think we can judge the Trank movie because it's not a movie. It's like he made a movie and they threw half of it out. Well, fuck Fox.
I don't care. Fox,
the blank check in this case is that Fox and Roger Corman, all these people had this money to make whatever they wanted to make, and every time they fucked up and made the most cynical cash grab product with disdain for the audience.
Yeah.
These characters that make me happy, David. I'm a sad boy, and few things make me happy in this world.
All right, Griffin.
And every time I look at the Fantastic Four, I get happy, and I believe that amazing things can happen. I do. In the world,
in the comic book.
Yeah, in the comic book. I have stickers on my wall, and I look at the Fantastic Four, and I feel good for a second.
Okay.
We all hate each other, but we can maybe work together for just a second.
All right.
My family doesn't get along. My dad spent all the money.
I'm cutting this rant short. I don't want to hear it anymore.
We can be fantastic.
I went into this movie. Ben is like just reaching for the knobs.
Ben hates this episode. Ben hates us.
I went into this movie. You had heard bad things.
Yeah.
But Simon Kinberg was involved, right?
Yes.
He'd made the X-Men reboots.
Yep.
They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So you think, like, all right, look. And we didn't even mention, like, we'd heard, like, Josh Trank. There's all these crazy stories about Josh Trank, like, couldn't take the pressure and trashed
Got
the
hired off
house.
the movie.
Got in a fight with like the county sheriff somewhere in
His
Missouri
dogs
or God
caused
knows
like
where.
$200,000 worth of damage to the
make
house
any
they rented.
sense.
None of it makes any sense. The mythology behind the making of this film is
Lots
insane.
of bad news. And then there was
You
this,
saw a press screening. You saw it earlier.
that's what
right?
I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So then there was this interview with Simon Kinberg, I think maybe that came out the day I went to the press screening, where he was like, I've seen the movie. It's not a catastrophe.
Yep.
Which, like, you're like, okay, it's obviously a catastrophe.
Faint praise.
If the producer of the film is like, look, I've seen it, and
not a
let me
catastrophe.
tell you, like, no children are killed on screen. You know, like, it's like, it is not.
John Landis did not direct this.
Yes. And so I go to see the movie. I still think, like, look, the Tim Story movies are horrible.
Horrid.
But it's got to be better than those, just because it's got an interesting cast and, like, you know, he's a bit more of a visual director. Like, you know, surely, and it was worse. That's all I have to say. I saw it with pretty good expectations. Couldn't believe how bad the movie was.
I don't even think it's a movie, and I don't think we can judge it. I
Okay,
didn't
that's
enjoy
your
watching
defense.
it. It made me sad, but it's not a movie. And I would like to someday see Josh Trank's cut, which I also do not think is good. I think would be a bad film as opposed to a bad collection of... They threw scenes in a hat, and they juggled it up, and they threw it in our face, and they peed in our eyes.
Yeah.
I just spit bagel
You did.
at the mic. David, wrapping this episode up, but there's one film we haven't mentioned, which is the only good Fantastic Four movie ever made. And it's from 2004, and it's called Brad Bird's The Incredibles.
Right, and this is what all... I mean, it's almost become a cliche to say it. Like, that's the good Fantastic Four movie, but it totally is.
But the point is...
I mean, that movie is
might
about
be-
a family dynamic of superheroes.
And it might be the only good Fantastic Four movie we ever get, because even if Fox lets the rights lapse
they
10
won't.
years from now...
Which they won't.
Right, but the soonest they would is 10 years from now. They
I guess
won't.
so.
They'll reboot it
Well, they
again.
could sell it, I guess. You could, like, buy it out, right? Marvel could maybe, like, make them an offer they wouldn't refuse. But I don't know why Marvel right now would really be doing that.
I also think the characters are so tarnished at this point that Marvel wouldn't want to bring them into their
Isn't
universe.
Fantastic Four 2 still in development?
Yeah, they're claiming it's still in development, those fuckers.
Like, I have read arguments that it's like, look, yeah, the movie was bad. You've got 4 actors locked into contract. Why don't you make another one? Like, it is kind of, it's like the definition of insanity. You know, it's like...
Or that they do it as a Fantastic Four X-Men crossover film,
right.
so it's
That
not
was-
properly a sequel.
There's no way that's happening now. Because Fox is like,
yeah.
we got one franchise. We're not
People
going to
like.
fucking get those
Yeah.
Fantastic Fours in it.
Yeah. But the fact is, they're damaged goods right now, and they were never as popular through other mediums like cartoons as the X-Men were, or Spider-Man was, where there's sort of as much a cultural understanding in a widespread way
There were
of who these
Fantastic Four
characters are.
cartoons, but yeah, never...
I went to a wedding this weekend. I was seated at the kids' table by request because adults are stupid. And I was talking to these kids about comic books because they knew I was a comic book nerd, and they were like, "Oh, what do you think about this? You read this comic book, da 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 da." And they were like, "Who's your favorite?" And I was like, "Fantastic Four." And they were like, "Fantastic Four sucks." Marvel has phased Fantastic Four out of their comic book
Yeah, they
universe
have.
because they don't have the rights
don't
and they
even-
don't want to put money in Fox's pocket.
Yeah, it's
They're not on
kinda
any
sad.
cartoon shows right now. They're not represented in video games. And the movies that are out there for kids to watch are fucking garbage. So I don't even think the announcement that Marvel had gotten the Fantastic Four back in their universe would be greeted with cheers by anyone other than the hardcore nerd fans. At this point, Marvel just goes, "We're doing well enough. We got a good team."
Forget it. It's sad because, like I said, Thor: The Dark World. Like, I do feel like the Marvel Studios tone would nail a Fantastic Four.
And
movie.
not to mention, Peyton Reed this year directed Ant-Man.
He did a great job.
It did a fine job.
did
In
a
difficult
great
circumstances.
job.
Jumping in late in the game.
Totally true. Had to jump in with like 8 weeks left before, you know, it's totally true.
But it has the right sense of humor.
That movie's great.
The way he visualizes some of the shrieking sequences feels fantastic
That
and
movie
lighthearted.
is terrific.
Sure-footed.
That movie is I'm sorry, but it is really good.
It's a solid fucking movie.
I think it's great.
You like it more than me. I like it a lot. You love it.
Well, I saw it once and had such bad expectations of it, and was so I still am mad about the Edgar Wright thing.
Mm-hmm.
And although now it feels like the scapegoat for that is that fucking crazy guy who just got taken off the Marvel movies, the CEO of Marvel, whatever.
Pearl movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well said there. Anyway.
It's a 2-hour bagel.
Yeah, seriously. That's a anyway. I went into Ant-Man after a press screening, and I was like, I'm not gonna like this. And then I was like, oh no, I really like that. Then I saw it again, like a civilian, and was delighted by. Have you seen it twice?
No, I should see it a
I
second
recommend seeing it a second time
I should see
because
it a second
the comic notes are what like really stand out. The second
Which
time.
I think would be the key to making a Fantastic Four movie work.
And Rudd's just great.
Rudd's great. He'd be a great Mr. Fantastic as well.
The Rudster, I call him.
The ruddiest star we have today.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll ever get a good Fantastic Four movie. We might have to settle for The Incredibles, which nails the family dynamic, which managed to nail the humor, the sense of wonder, the style. It feels like a 60s set film. It has those aesthetics.
Yes.
I'll keep on trying. I have notebooks full of
You should pitch it.
sketches.
Who would you right now? Because Clooney, he's too old. Who would you right now want to be in a Fantastic Four movie?
God, I had my cast nailed down 10 years ago. John
Who was it
Cusack
10
was
years
going to be
ago?
my Mr. Fantastic.
Right, that would be horrible now.
Right, but 10 years ago it would have worked.
Yeah, that's sort of the tail end of
Maybe
Cusack's.
12 years ago.
Yeah. Early 2000s. That'd be fine.
I think I wanted Naomi Watts as Invisible Woman.
That's a very 10 years ago choice.
Yeah. Billy Crudup as Victor Von Doom.
That's okay. I've never been a big Billy Crudup fan.
I like him a lot.
I love him in Public Enemies.
Yeah, he's really good in that. I have Paul Walker's.
He has no charisma.
I love him. I love my Fantastic Four. I love my Furious family.
Who's the Thing?
I might have said Michael Clark Duncan at the time. That was an obvious choice.
That's hacky.
That was hacky. Yeah, that was hacky. I admit that was hacky.
Michael Clark Duncan, it was just like, is the character large?
Is he big?
It's weird because Michael Clark Duncan's a good actor, but not in every circumstance.
I was 14. I was a hack. He's also dead now.
He is R.I.P. Michael.
R.I.P. Michael Clark Duncan.
My favorite thing about Michael Clark Duncan is that he insisted on watching WWE SmackDown live every Friday night or whenever it aired. And when he was nominated for an Oscar for The Green Mile, the president of the United States, George W. Bush, invited him to meet him, come to the White House.
It was on a Friday night,
and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do it at SmackDown that night."
That's amazing.
Yes. He's the greatest.
I met Peyton Reed once. I recognized him because I know what directors look like, especially secondary comedic directors.
Right.
And I said, I'm sorry to bother you. I just need to ask you, what was your Fantastic Four movie going to be? I've heard snippets of it.
Uh-huh.
And it sounds so cool. Can you tell me more about it? And he said, honestly, man, I can't. It's too painful for me to talk about.
Okay.
And this was 5 years before he gets Ant-Man, when he thought he was never going to get to make a superhero movie.
Right.
And he went, I think it was so good, and I think it could have been so exciting. And I went, the one they made was terrible. And he went, look, I don't want to badmouth any other director. Yeah. I think Tim Story's done good work. And I went, I love Barbershop. He went, I love Barbershop 2. He said, I love Barbershop, 2, not I love Barbershop 2, although I do love Barbershop 2 back in business. But he went, I knew exactly what that property needed, and I don't know if anyone's ever going to make the right movie. And then he looked at me and he said, I don't know, maybe you. David, he looked at me and he said, maybe you'll be the one to do it someday.
And you woke with a start.
Oh, I don't know. I might have to wait 20 years. Ben?
We're doing final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
So I just
you haven't seen any of these movies, correct?
No.
Yeah.
I never liked Fantastic Four, but I did really always love Silver Surfer.
Cool guy.
Comics.
Cool guy.
And I always loved Galactus.
Galactus.
Yeah. You Philistine.
Sorry. Well, anyway, I looked up Guardians of the Galaxy to see if they were going to maybe include that character or even Silver Surfer.
Fox still has the rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stinks.
They can't use the supporting character.
That really, really stinks.
Yep, they have the Celestials. They're sort of doing Celestial stuff.
Yeah.
In Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm bummed.
So you like the kind of whacked out stone space, cosmic shit. Yeah, I like that stuff.
You would.
Final thoughts. The Trank movie's the worst.
No, it's not the worst. Here's my final ranking.
Okay.
Here are final thoughts. Final ranking?
Yeah.
Corman, 1.
Uh-huh.
Trank, 2. Silver Surfer, 3. First Tim Story, 4.
I think I go Silver Surfer, Tim Story, Corman, Trank.
Great. So we're...
the opposite.
Yep.
But I don't like any of them.
No, they're all bad.
2 out of 5, 1.5 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 0 out of 5.
One final note: the Corman movie does have a really good score.
It does. It's actually somewhat beloved amongst movie score heads.
It sounds like how the Fantastic Four should sound.
I have to sign off.
I do too. Thank you all for listening. Next week we'll be back with.
Oh my god! Oh, it's actually really exciting.
Revenge
Star Wars
of the Podcast.
Episode 3. It's gonna be.
We're
gonna watch it.
This one's gonna be
fucking
good.
A new Star Wars movie.
He finished it out. He did a trilogy.
Oh man,
he finished
That's
his story.
Actually insane. All right.
I love you all. Thank you all for listening.
And as always,
thank you.